Ryan Brooks has always been a devoted husband and father, but his world shatters when he discovers his wife Jennifer is hiding a dangerous secret. As he uncovers lies, infidelity, and betrayal, Ryan's trust in everything he's known begins to crumble. Torn between love, anger, and heartbreak, Ryan sets out on a path that will change his life forever. Can he confront Jennifer and rebuild what's been broken? Or will he walk away and leave it all behind? The stakes are high. The tension is building. Don't miss how this explosive story unfolds. It's the summer of 2023, and we find ourselves in the bustling city of Atlanta, Georgia. The bright lights, the tall skyscrapers, and the busy streets serve as the backdrop to our story. It's a place where people move fast, and where, beneath the surface, secrets hide in plain sight. And oh, do we have a secret to uncover. Our protagonist, Ryan Brooks, is a 38-year-old project manager at a successful tech company. He's what you might call the good guy, hardworking, dependable, and the kind of person you'd call to fix a leaky faucet or help move a couch. Ryan's been married to his high school sweetheart, Jennifer, for nearly 15 years. They met at a local diner when Ryan was just a goofy 19-year-old, and Jennifer was a shy, bookish girl from a nearby suburb. She was, in many ways, the quiet balance to his loud, impulsive energy. They've built a life together, nothing extravagant, but comfortable. A beautiful home, in a leafy suburban neighborhood, 2 kids, Lily 11 and Max 8, and, for the most part, everything seemed pretty picture perfect. Ryan's the kind of guy who values loyalty, family, and the simple things in life. He prides himself on providing for his family and maintaining a stable, loving environment. But what Ryan didn't know, not yet at least, was that his world was about to come crashing down. The opening scene. It all started one Friday evening, right around the time that the warm evening sun began to dip below the horizon. Ryan had left work early, planning to surprise Jennifer with a romantic dinner. She had been working late the past few weeks, something about a new project at her marketing firm that required more of her time. Ryan had been supportive, not wanting to be the overbearing husband who nags about her late nights. But deep down, something didn't sit right with him. It wasn't like Jennifer to be this busy. She'd always made time for their family. Always. But tonight, Ryan had the evening all planned out. He'd managed to score a reservation at a new restaurant downtown, something they'd both been wanting to try. He wasn't a big foodie, but Jennifer loved trying new places, and he knew it would make her happy. Ryan walked through the front door of their house, keys in hand, excited to see her. He dropped his bag on the couch, his eyes scanning the room for her. There were no sounds of the kids' laughter, no scent of dinner in the air. It was quiet. Too quiet. "Jen," he called, half expecting to hear her voice from the kitchen or upstairs. Nothing. A sense of unease washed over him, but he brushed it off. She must have been finishing up work, maybe still on a call. Ryan moved toward their kitchen, his sneakers squeaking on the hardwood floors. As he entered, he noticed her phone sitting face up on the counter, just as it buzzed. It was a message, the screen lighting up in bold letters. Ryan didn't mean to look, but curiosity tugged at him. The message was from a number he didn't recognize, but the words, those words, would change everything. "Can't wait to see you tonight, same time, same place." His heart skipped a beat. Who was this, and why was Jennifer getting messages like this on a Friday night, when she was supposed to be having dinner with her husband? He didn't want to jump to conclusions, but the hair on the back of his neck stood up. Just as Ryan stood there, staring at her phone, the door creaked open. Jennifer walked in, wearing her black pencil skirt and white blouse, her hair tied back in a messy bun. She smiled when she saw him. "Hey, babe, I didn't know you were home." "Sorry, I got caught up on a call with a client. Just one of those days." Ryan stood motionless for a moment, the phone still in his hand, the words on the screen echoing in his mind. But he managed to smile, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. "No problem," he said, his voice more strained than he intended. He set the phone down, forcing himself to keep his cool. "Dinner plans still on? I thought we could go to that new place." Jennifer's smile faltered for a brief second, her eyes darting to the phone she hadn't realized he'd picked up. "Oh, I think I'll pass tonight." There's a last-minute meeting I have to take care of." Ryan's stomach tightened. He could feel the heat of the moment, the tension hanging between them. Jennifer was always so considerate, always so eager to make things work. But this felt different. Something was off, and Ryan's gut was telling him not to let it go. "Are you sure we've been talking about it for weeks?" he said, his voice softer now. "I even got that bottle of wine we both like." Jennifer hesitated, biting her lower lip, then waved her hand dismissively. "Yeah, I know, work is piling up. I'll make it up to you, I promise." Ryan forced a smile and nodded, but inside, a knot was forming. Something about her explanation didn't sit right. Work was always a convenient excuse, but this time, it felt like she was hiding something. And it wasn't just her reluctance to go to dinner that bothered him. It was the fact that every time they were alone, Jennifer's attention was somewhere else, on her phone, on her emails, on her meetings. She was slipping away, and Ryan could feel it. She leaned in to kiss him on the cheek, but it was quick, like she was rushing out the door. He caught the faintest hint of perfume, something floral, but it wasn't the scent she usually wore. It was too sweet, too fresh. "Go ahead and get dinner started, babe. I won't be long," Jennifer said, her voice too bright, too forced. Ryan stood there in the kitchen, the silence swallowing him whole. He couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. And the more he thought about it, the more he realized just how many small things had been adding up. Early events and initial conflict. As Jennifer disappeared upstairs to take care of some work, Ryan's mind raced. There had been the late nights, the sudden phone calls, and the frequent urgent work trips that always seemed to pop up at the most inconvenient times. And now, this. The mysterious message. It all pointed to one thing, but Ryan didn't want to believe it. He'd been married to Jennifer for over a decade. He trusted her, or at least, he used to trust her. He glanced at his phone, his fingers hesitating above the screen. Part of him wanted to call her out on it right now, but another part told him to hold back, to not make any rash decisions. He needed more information. Ryan sighed deeply, his mind made up. He was going to find out the truth, and nothing was going to stop him. And so, as the evening wore on, Ryan began to observe. He started with the smallest of things, checking the time she spent in the office, the sudden business trips that seemed to increase in frequency. He didn't want to play detective, but something inside of him told him this wasn't just a phase. This was something serious, something that would change everything. Jennifer's phone buzzed again, the sound echoing from upstairs. Ryan could hear the faint hum of her voice on the phone, but he couldn't make out the words. It was like a tug on his chest, an invisible thread pulling him deeper into a web of doubt. He couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more happening than he could see. Was Jennifer really working late? Or was she somewhere else? With someone else? All right, if you're still here, you're definitely in for a ride. We left off with Ryan getting that uneasy feeling about his wife, Jennifer, and things are only about to get more complicated. If you haven't done so already, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to drop a comment below. If you're enjoying this so far, your thoughts are always welcome. Now, back to the story. Ryan had spent the entire night going over the details, replaying moments, going through Jennifer's behavior, checking her phone again, watching her. The tension was building up like a slow burn. Every time she stepped out for one of her meetings, Ryan felt the knot in his stomach grow tighter. She was more distant than ever, and each time they spoke, there was something cold about her tone, like she was pulling away emotionally, even if she still smiled and went through the motions. The next day, Ryan decided to take things into his own hands. He had to know. So, while Jennifer was out that Saturday morning running errands with the kids, Ryan got to work. He went through her things, her phone, her bags, her laptop. He wasn't proud of it, but it felt like the only way to get the answers he needed. And sure enough, in the depths of her email inbox, Ryan found something that made his heart stop. A calendar invitation from a man named Ethan Walker. They'd met once at a dinner party, but Ryan had always thought of him as just another work guy. But the subject line of the email was the real kicker. Weekend getaway, our secret spot, 8 p.m. Ryan's blood ran cold. Weekend getaway. And what was this secret spot? Was Jennifer really planning to meet this guy behind his back? A mix of anger, confusion, and betrayal surged through him. But something else too, a sick sense of relief. Finally, some answers. This wasn't just a phase. There was something real going on, and it was far worse than Ryan could have ever imagined. He stared at the screen for a moment, then deleted the email. There was no going back now. The trust that he once had, the years of loyalty, gone in an instant. But Ryan wasn't about to confront Jennifer just yet. No, he needed to know more. He couldn't just walk in, make accusations, and have her brush it all off. He needed proof, something undeniable. So, over the next few days, Ryan kept an eye on Jennifer. She didn't know it, but he was following her every move. He was watching how she changed her behavior, how she acted when she thought he wasn't paying attention. And one thing stood out. The more Ryan watched, the more Jennifer's secrets began to unravel. Now, let's talk about Ryan for a minute. You see, this wasn't the same guy who had put his trust in Jennifer all those years ago. As the days went by, Ryan started to change. At first, it was subtle. He became more quiet, more reserved. He started to ask questions that didn't have an answer. The cracks in his relationship began to show. Ryan was still the dependable, hard-working man he'd always been, but now there was an edge to him, a sort of steel that hadn't been there before. He wasn't just angry. He was becoming someone who was starting to distrust everyone around him. His co-workers noticed it. His friends could feel the shift in his attitude, and even his kids could sense something was off. But Ryan didn't care. He wasn't concerned with appearances anymore. He had a mission, and he was going to get to the bottom of this. Jennifer, on the other hand, seemed oblivious to the changes in Ryan. She was still caught up in her world of secret phone calls, late nights at the office, and the little lies she told to cover her tracks. To the outside world, she was the same Jennifer, busy with work, a loving mother, the perfect wife. But Ryan saw the cracks. He could hear the hesitation in her voice, the way she turned her head a little too fast when her phone buzzed, the way she smiled just a little too wide when he asked her how her day had been. And that's when Ryan decided to take it a step further. He was no longer just going to follow her. He was going to confront her, but on his terms. He wasn't going to let her lie to him anymore. He was going to catch her in the act. It happened on a Friday night, about a week after Ryan uncovered the email. He had been following Jennifer's routine, and everything pointed to one thing. She was meeting Ethan that night. It was going to be their secret spot, weekend getaway. Ryan had done his research. He knew the location. He knew exactly where she was going to be, and he had no intention of just sitting back and letting her get away with it. So, he followed her. He watched from a distance as Jennifer pulled out of the driveway, dressed in a new black dress that Ryan had never seen before. She didn't even glance back as she drove away, her eyes fixed on the road ahead, like she was going somewhere important, somewhere she needed to be. Ryan's heart raced as he followed her down familiar streets, past the old coffee shop where they used to hang out, down roads that used to bring him comfort. Now, they felt like they were leading him to a place he didn't want to go, but he couldn't turn back now. Not when he was this close. He followed her all the way to a secluded, upscale hotel on the edge of town. It wasn't a place Ryan would have ever guessed Jennifer would frequent, especially not without him. The valet greeted her with a nod, and she handed him her keys without a second thought. That was it. The final confirmation. Ryan parked across the street, hiding in the shadows, his heart pounding in his chest. He had to make sure. He needed to know if his worst fears were true. As Ryan sat there, watching, time seemed to slow down. He could barely breathe. He watched as Jennifer entered the hotel lobby, her posture straight, her heels clicking against the marble floors, and then, just as he expected, she met Ethan. Ryan's fists clenched at his sides. There they were, standing together, laughing as if they didn't have a care in the world. Jennifer, the woman he had loved for years, was in the arms of another man. Ryan couldn't help it. He felt something inside him snap. He had always prided himself on being the calm one, the one who thought things through. But in that moment, all of that went out the window. The pain, the rage, it was all consuming. He wanted to march up to them and scream at them. He wanted to confront Jennifer right there in front of Ethan. But he knew better. He couldn't just go charging in without a plan. He needed to gather more evidence. So, Ryan sat in the car, watching, as his wife walked up to Ethan. They exchanged a brief kiss before disappearing into the elevator together. This was it. Ryan had seen enough. But now, more than ever, he realized that things were only going to get harder from here. Confronting Jennifer wasn't going to be as simple as just telling her he knew. No, it was going to be a battle. And Ryan was ready. But what would happen next? Well, you'll have to wait and see. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because this story is just getting started. Trust me, you don't want to miss what comes next. It's the next day. Ryan's mind is racing with a million thoughts. But one thing stands out more than anything else. The confrontation. He can't just let this go. He can't just keep watching from the sidelines. He's been betrayed. And now, he has to face it head on. There's no turning back. The weight of everything, the past 15 years, the kids, the promises, they all hit him like a punch to the gut. Ryan knows he has to confront Jennifer, but part of him is terrified. What will happen after? Will she admit everything? Will she try to justify it? More importantly, will she even care that she's been caught? He's not sure what to expect, but he knows one thing for sure. He's done being the passive one in this relationship. He waits until Jennifer returns home, all smiles and sweet words about how her day went. She seems completely unaware of what's about to unfold. Ryan watches her move around the house, oblivious, her phone buzzing in the pocket of her jacket. He can hear her talking to someone, her voice light and almost flirtatious. It's all too much. The old Ryan would have just smiled and pretended everything was fine. But today, things are different. Today, the truth is coming out. Finally, as Jennifer heads upstairs to change into something more comfortable, Ryan takes a deep breath. This is it, he's going to have to do it. Ryan stands in the doorway to their bedroom, his fists clenched by his sides. Jennifer stops in her tracks when she sees him standing there, his face a mask of cold determination. There's a moment of hesitation, just a fraction of a second, but it's enough for Ryan to notice. Her smile falters, and Ryan can feel his pulse quicken. "You're home early," she says, trying to play it cool. Ryan's voice is calm, but the tension is thick. "Funny, I could say the same about you." Jennifer's eyes dart toward the floor, and for the first time in a long time, Ryan sees a crack in her facade, but she quickly recovers, pulling herself together. "What do you mean by that?" Ryan's heart pounds in his chest. He can't hold it in any longer. "I know, Jen, I know what's been going on." He pauses, letting the words hang in the air. "You think I haven't noticed the late nights, the calls, the excuses? You think I didn't see the messages, the hotel bookings, the weekend getaways?" Jennifer's face goes pale. Her lips part, but no words come out. Ryan doesn't give her a chance to respond. "Who is he, Jennifer?" His voice cracks, and the anger in him rises to the surface. "Who is Ethan Walker?" For a second, Jennifer's eyes widen, and she takes a step back, but then she forces herself to stand tall, crossing her arms defensively. "Ryan, it's not what you think," she says, her voice shaky, but still trying to maintain that calm. I can explain." But Ryan isn't listening. The walls are closing in around him, and he can't keep pretending everything is okay. The hurt, the betrayal, the sense of being invisible to the woman he thought he knew, it's all too much. "I'm done with your excuses, Jennifer." His voice rises, but he's shaking now. How long? How long have you been seeing him?" Jennifer looks away, clearly uncomfortable under his gaze, but there's something in her silence that tells Ryan everything he needs to know. She's guilty. She's been lying to him, and it's been going on for longer than he thought. Ryan, please," she starts. But Ryan can see the tears forming in her eyes, the cracks in her composure. And for a moment, a brief, fleeting moment, he almost feels sorry for her. But then he remembers the weekend getaway, the secrets, the lies. He remembers the messages that broke his heart. "No more lies, Jen," he says, his voice deadly calm now. "Tell me the truth, all of it." Jennifer finally breaks. Her shoulders slump, and she exhales a long breath, as if she's been holding it in for years. "Okay," she whispers, her voice cracking. "Okay, fine, I've been seeing him. I never meant for it to go this far. I thought it was just harmless, just a little fling." Ryan stares at her, stunned. A fling, that's what she's calling it. The devastation in him boils over into something darker, something he doesn't recognize. Harmless. You've been lying to me, to our family for months. Jennifer harmless? His fists are clenched now, and he steps closer, but not enough to touch her. He's not sure he could if he tried. You've been meeting him behind my back, and you call it harmless? Jennifer's face crumples as the guilt floods her. I didn't mean for you to find out like this, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't want to hurt you. Ryan laughs bitterly. It's a little late for that, don't you think? Just when Ryan thinks he's gotten the full truth, Jennifer drops a bombshell. There's something you need to know, she says, her voice barely audible. Ryan's heart skips a beat. This isn't over. Not yet. What? He asks, his voice strained, his emotions tangled in a knot. What else could there possibly be? Jennifer looks away, unable to meet his eyes. Ethan. He's not the only one. There's someone else, another man. Ryan's head spins. He can't process this. He thought he had all the answers, but now there's more. There's always more. What the hell are you talking about? He says, his voice rising again. He steps back, feeling dizzy, like the ground beneath him is shifting. How many men, Jennifer? How long has this been going on? She swallows hard, her tears now flowing freely. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want to tell you. But I need you to understand, Ethan. He's just the tip of the iceberg. There's someone else. And this wasn't supposed to happen. Ryan's mind is racing. He's being crushed under the weight of the truth. His wife, the woman he thought he knew, has been living a double life. A life full of lies and betrayals. And there's no way out. You've been with him for how long? Ryan asks, his voice cracking with disbelief. 6 months, Jennifer says, her voice barely audible. 6 months, and I never meant to hurt you, Ryan. I never meant for things to get out of control. Ryan's heart is shattered, but there's something else inside him. Something dark, something that's not just pain anymore. It's anger, it's betrayal, and it's growing. Ryan can feel his body vibrating with emotion. He knows he can't stay here, not with her. Not after everything she's done, but he has to leave with a clear head. He can't let her see how much she's destroyed him. He can't let her see that she's won. I need to think, he says, his voice barely a whisper. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know if I'll ever forgive you. Jennifer reaches out for him, but Ryan steps back, the space between them growing wider. He turns and walks out, leaving her standing in the room they once shared. The door slams behind him, and for the first time in a long time, Ryan feels free. But at what cost? All right, I hope you're still with me. This is where the stakes really start to climb, and the tension between Ryan and Jennifer is about to hit a whole new level. I can feel it in the air, can't you? Everything's leading up to this. But before we jump in, make sure you've hit that like button, subscribed, and dropped a comment with your thoughts. Now, let's get back to the story. So, after Ryan storms out of the house, it's like everything he thought he knew about his life has been thrown into chaos. He's left with nothing but his emotions and a whirlwind of thoughts he can't quite catch. He needs space to think, to breathe. But space doesn't come easily, does it? The next few days blur together in a haze of anger and disbelief. Every corner of the house feels like a reminder of his shattered world. The kids' laughter feels distant, like it belongs to someone else's life. And Jennifer. She's texting and calling, apologizing, explaining, begging him to come back. But Ryan, he's not ready. He can't just go back. The image of her with Ethan, the words she confessed, they're all burned into his mind. He can't erase them. So, he stays away. He checks into a hotel downtown alone. The room feels foreign, just like the man he's becoming. There's no comfort in the familiar anymore. And as much as he wants to bury his head in the sand, he knows he can't. This is too big. Too much is at stake. The worst part, he's still in love with Jennifer. Despite the betrayal, despite everything she's done, Ryan can't just turn off his feelings. But he's at a crossroads. He has a decision to make, one that will change everything. Ryan knows that confronting Jennifer again isn't going to be simple. It's not just about finding out the truth. It's about figuring out who he is now, because the man who walked out of that house isn't the same as the man who walked in. He's different, a little colder, a little harder. He feels like he's losing control, and that's a feeling he's not used to. Ryan's always been the guy who stayed steady, who kept everything balanced, but now, everything's on tilt. He spends a lot of his time in that hotel room, pacing, drinking, thinking. And with each passing hour, his anger shifts. It's no longer just about Jennifer. It's about the lies, the trust that's been shattered, and the decisions he's about to make. Can he forgive her? Can they rebuild? Or is this the end? And then there's that other piece, the part of him that still wants answers, that still feels betrayed by the way she's treated him, the part that wonders how long it's been going on, how deep the lies run. By the third night, Ryan decides he can't keep running from it. He calls Jennifer, and the sound of her voice on the other end makes his chest tighten. "I need to see you," he says, his voice clipped. He's not angry anymore. He's beyond anger. He's cold, and Jennifer, she's terrified. She's waiting for him when he arrives at the house, dressed in a simple sweater, her face drawn and tired. Ryan notices the red marks around her eyes. She's been crying. She looks smaller, like she's lost her strength, and as much as he wants to blame her, as much as he wants to let the anger consume him, he can't help but feel pity. "You've got 10 minutes, Ryan says, his voice steady. "Start talking." Jennifer doesn't waste time. She admits it all. Everything she's kept hidden. The affair with Ethan. The lies. The cover-ups. But then, just like before, she drops another bombshell. "I didn't want this, Ryan," she says, her voice thick with emotion. "But I've been unhappy for a long time. We've been drifting apart, and I was lonely." Lonely. Ryan feels the word cut through him, but he doesn't react. He's heard it all before. The excuses, the justifications. But this is different. This isn't just about her and Ethan. This is about Jennifer realizing what she's done to their marriage. For a second, Ryan sees the woman he once loved, but then the words come again. It wasn't just Ethan, Ryan. There was someone else before him. Someone I met months ago. Ryan's world comes to a screeching halt. His body goes cold, and the blood drains from his face. Someone else. How many men has Jennifer been with? How deep does this betrayal run? He can't breathe. He can't speak. All he can do is stare at her, waiting for an explanation that will never come. But Jennifer doesn't have an explanation. She's broken, and Ryan knows it. He's not sure if he's angry anymore, or if he just feels exhausted. How does a person come back from this? How do you rebuild a life after everything has crumbled? The worst part is that Jennifer is still trying to justify it. "I love you, Ryan," she says, her voice shaking. "I don't want to lose you, but I don't know how to fix this." Ryan takes a step back. "I don't know if you can fix this, Jen. I don't even know if I can fix this." The words sting, but they're true. Jennifer pleads with him. "We can go to therapy. We can work through this. I'll do anything." Ryan's mind races. He's heard it all before. The promises, the apologies. But what happens after all this? Can he trust her again? Can their marriage survive this? He's been in love with Jennifer for so long, but the idea of rebuilding their life together feels like a distant dream. And then, just as Ryan opens his mouth to speak, there's a knock at the door. It's Ethan. Ryan doesn't have to ask who it is. He already knows. The sight of Ethan standing on the other side of the door is like a punch in the gut. Ethan's face is pale, nervous, like he knows he's about to walk into a war zone. Ryan doesn't even give him a chance to speak. "Get out," Ryan says, his voice low but firm. "Get the hell out of my house." Ethan tries to argue, but Ryan's not having it. He's done with the lies, done with the deception, done with everything. "I'm done," Ryan says, the words feeling final, like the last nail in a coffin. But Ethan doesn't leave. Instead, he steps closer, a slight smirk on his face. "I never wanted to hurt you, man," Ethan says. But there's something about his tone, something mocking. "You've been out of the picture for a while now, haven't you? Maybe you should have paid attention." That's it. That's the moment where Ryan snaps. The rage he's been holding back explodes, and he's on Ethan before he even realizes what he's doing. The confrontation is brutal, but it's over in seconds. Ryan doesn't care. He doesn't care about the consequences. He just wants to make sure Ethan knows he's not the only one who can destroy something. When Ryan finally pulls back, breathing heavily, his hands shaking, Jennifer is crying. She's terrified, and Ryan feels nothing but cold. He looks at her, looks at the life they built, and he knows it's gone. Everything has changed. It's not just the affair. It's everything. Everything that's led them to this moment. The trust is broken, the love is gone. And as he walks away, leaving Jennifer standing there, Ryan knows he's not just walking out of a marriage. He's walking out of a life he never thought he'd lose. All right, things are heating up now. Ryan's confronted Jennifer. The lies have come tumbling out, and the secrets have been exposed. But trust me, this is only the beginning. The tension is rising, and we're heading toward a climax that's going to leave you breathless. So if you've been enjoying the ride so far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support really helps keep the story moving forward. Ryan doesn't waste any time after the explosive confrontation. The anger still surges in him, but now it's mixed with something else. A cold, bitter determination. He knows his marriage is over, but there's a part of him that feels satisfied. He's done everything he could to save it, but Jennifer's betrayal has shattered something deep inside him. The truth was laid bare, and as much as it hurts, it feels like a weight has been lifted off his shoulders. The fog is clearing, and Ryan is finally seeing the world for what it is. It's no longer his world, it's just his. Jennifer is still crying, still begging for forgiveness, but Ryan knows it's too late. No amount of apologies or promises to change is going to undo the damage she chose this. And that's what cuts him the deepest. As he walks out of the house, his mind races with a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, betrayal. But there's also a sliver of something else: freedom. It's almost like he's been holding his breath for so long that now he can finally exhale. But that freedom, that sense of relief, doesn't come without its own cost. Ryan heads straight to the bar after the confrontation. His usual haunt, quiet, dimly lit, and filled with the hum of low conversations. It's the kind of place where he can disappear into the crowd and be alone with his thoughts. But tonight, even the noise, the chatter, and the clinking of glasses don't drown out the feeling gnawing at him. The weight of everything is still there. But as the hours pass and the alcohol numbs his mind, Ryan starts to think about the future. He's been married to Jennifer for years, and even with all the pain, the betrayal, and the broken promises, a part of him still wants to fix things. He's been a loyal husband, a committed father, and he knows the kids would be devastated if their family falls apart. But then he remembers the anger that burned through him when he saw Jennifer and Ethan together. He can't just pretend that didn't happen. In the dim light of the bar, Ryan makes a decision. He needs to get away. He needs to distance himself from all of this. Jennifer, the lies, the pain. He's done being the good guy who sacrifices everything he's done, pretending like everything's fine when it's not. So he does something impulsive. He books a flight. Not for a business trip, not for a quick getaway, but for something entirely different. A fresh start. He needs time, space, and a break from the life that's been holding him down for years. And maybe, just maybe, he'll find himself in the process. But there's still something holding him back. A part of him wonders if Jennifer will change, if she'll realize what she's done, and come crawling back. But as soon as the thought crosses his mind, he shakes it off. No more waiting. No more hoping Ryan Brooks is done. A few days later, Ryan's bags are packed, his tickets are booked, and he's ready to leave. He doesn't tell Jennifer where he's going, or even if he's coming back. But when he walks out of the front door that morning, he knows this isn't just a trip. It's a step towards something bigger. It's the moment he takes control of his life again. But then, just as he's about to pull out of the driveway, his phone rings. It's Jennifer. She's begging him to come back, to talk things through. She says she's sorry, that she's changed, and that they can work it out. And for a moment, Ryan falters. It's the first time she's sounded sincere in a long while, and it's almost enough to make him second-guess everything he's decided. But deep down, Ryan knows this isn't about her. This is about him. And no matter how much he still loves her, he can't let her back in. Not after everything. He silences the phone and drives away, leaving the past behind him. Ryan arrives at his destination, a small beach town along the coast. It's a far cry from the city, and that's exactly what he needs. Peace, quiet, and a little bit of distance. He rents a small cabin on the outskirts of town, away from everything that's ever been familiar. And as he walks into the space, he finally feels like he can breathe. For the first time in what feels like forever, Ryan allows himself to relax. He spends the first couple of days exploring the town, getting to know the locals, and breathing in the salty air. The world feels bigger out here. It's like he's discovering a new part of himself he'd forgotten existed. But even in this new place, his mind can't escape the storm that's raging inside. He misses the kids. He misses the life he had before all of this. But it's also clear that he can't go back. Jennifer's betrayal runs too deep, and as much as he wants to, as much as he yearns for things to go back to normal, he knows they never will. One afternoon, while he's sitting by the beach, the phone rings again. This time, it's a message from Jennifer. No words, just a photo of their kids, Lily and Max, smiling at the camera. Ryan can't help it. His heart aches at the sight. They look so happy, so innocent. But even the photo can't fix what's broken. Ryan's phone buzzes again. This time, a message from an unknown number. It's a video. He hesitates before pressing play, but curiosity wins, and when the video starts, his world tilts again. It's a grainy video, but the faces are clear. It's Jennifer, yes. But standing next to her, kissing her, is none other than Ethan. Ryan feels the blood rush from his face as he watches them, the betrayal fresh all over again. The video ends, and Ryan sits there, frozen. The anger from earlier is back, stronger than ever. This isn't just about an affair anymore. This is about his family, his life, and the lies he's been fed. He doesn't know how, but he's going back. Going back to face Jennifer. He's done with being passive. There's no turning back from this. Ryan picks up his phone, calls a cab, and heads for the airport. He has one final thing to say, and it's not going to be pretty. All right, we've come a long way, and now it's time to bring this story to a close. Everything that's been building, the tension, the betrayal, the pain, it all leads to this final resolution. But as always, if you've enjoyed this ride, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There are more stories to come, and you won't want to miss them. Drop a comment and let me know what you think. Let's get into the conclusion. Ryan's plane touches down in Atlanta, and his heart pounds in his chest. He's been dreading this moment, but now that it's here, it feels almost like a relief. He's going back to face Jennifer, back to the house where it all fell apart. But this time, it's different. He's different. His mind flashes back to everything that led to this point. The lies, the secrecy, the coldness. And even though he still feels the weight of the betrayal, there's something else there too. The strength he's found within himself. The old Ryan would have let this slide. Would have kept trying to make it work. Would have kept forgiving and hoping. But this is the new Ryan. The man who has decided that he's worth more than the lies, that he deserves better. When he gets to the house, Jennifer is already waiting, standing in the doorway, looking smaller than he's ever seen her. She's dressed casually, but there's no smile on her face. She's waiting for him, but not with the same confidence she had before. The woman who stood in front of him in the past is gone, and in her place is someone who looks defeated. "Ryan," she says, her voice shaking slightly. "I didn't expect you to come back." Ryan stands there for a moment, letting the silence stretch between them. His eyes are cold, but there's something else in them now, something softer. He's not angry anymore, not in the way he was before. No. Now it's just sadness. "I had to see you one last time," he says, his voice steady. "I had to know if you were truly sorry, if you meant any of it." Jennifer's eyes fill with tears, but she doesn't try to hide them. She's broken, and in a way, Ryan almost feels sorry for her, but he can't forget what she did. He can't just brush it off. "I am sorry, Ryan," she whispers, her voice barely audible. "I never meant to hurt you. I never wanted any of this. I lost myself. And I'm so sorry." Ryan nods slowly. "I believe you," he says, his tone soft but firm. "But that doesn't change anything. It doesn't change what you've done." Jennifer steps forward, her hand outstretched, as if she wants to reach for him, to fix things. But Ryan steps back, keeping the distance between them. "I can't do this anymore, Jen," he says quietly. "I can't keep pretending you betrayed me, and I'm not sure I can ever get past it." The words hang in the air between them, heavy and final. Jennifer doesn't say anything more. She just stands there, her shoulders slumped, as the weight of the moment settles in. This is the end. Ryan knows that this isn't the moment for reconciliation, at least not right now. There's too much pain, too much betrayal. He can't just sweep it under the rug and move forward like nothing happened. This is a turning point, one that changes everything. Ryan takes a deep breath, looking around the house. Their home. The place where they built their life together. But now, it feels different. It's no longer a place of warmth and memories. It's a place full of broken promises. "I'm leaving, Jen," Ryan says, his voice quiet but resolute. "For good." Jennifer's eyes widen, and for a moment, she looks as though she might try to change his mind. But she doesn't. She knows, deep down, that there's nothing left to say. She's lost him, and she knows it. Ryan walks toward the door, stopping just before he exits. He turns back, one last time, and looks at the woman he once loved. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Jen," he says softly. "I really do, but I can't be a part of it anymore." And with that, Ryan walks out of the house, leaving the past behind him. As Ryan drives away from the house, he feels a strange mix of emotions. He's free, but it doesn't feel like victory. It feels like closure. The weight of the betrayal is still heavy in his chest, but now there's a sense of peace, of moving forward. Ryan's journey isn't just about ending his marriage. It's about finding himself again. For years, he's put his family and his wife first, sacrificing his own happiness for the sake of the relationship. But now, he's done being a doormat. He's done letting people take advantage of his love. He's learned that he's worth more than the lies, more than the secrets. He's learned that sometimes, the hardest thing to do is walk away. But it's also the thing that frees you. As for Jennifer, the truth is, she may never fully understand the consequences of her actions. She may never fully grasp the damage she's done. But that's not Ryan's problem anymore. He's walked away, and it's time for him to heal. To move on. In the weeks that follow, Ryan takes time for himself. He dives into work, starts focusing on his hobbies, and spends more time with his kids. He finds a new apartment, a place that feels like his own. And slowly, day by day, the sting of betrayal fades. It doesn't go away completely, because some wounds take time to heal, but it gets easier. Jennifer, on the other hand, struggles. She tries to reach out to Ryan a few more times, hoping to reconcile, but he doesn't respond. She sees a therapist, trying to understand what went wrong. But she knows, deep down, that she can't fix what's been broken. As for the kids, Ryan is there for them every step of the way. He's present, and he's committed to being the best father he can be. It's hard at first, seeing them hurt, seeing their lives shift so drastically, but Ryan knows that this is the right choice for them. His peace of mind, his strength, will be the foundation they need to move forward. In the end, Ryan doesn't get the fairy tale ending. He doesn't reconcile with Jennifer, and he doesn't go back to the life he once knew, but he does find a new beginning, one where he's in control of his happiness. And that's the end of this chapter for Ryan. The road ahead won't be easy, but he's learned something important. That even in the darkest of times, you have the power to choose your path. And sometimes, choosing yourself is the hardest, but most necessary thing you can do. If you've made it this far, I hope you've enjoyed this story. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for future videos. You don't want to miss the next tale we have for you. Thanks for sticking with me through this emotional roller coaster. Until next time.